This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, guys, let us start the today's session. So, in the yesterday's class, if we try to just have a brief overview and recap of what we have discussed, we have discussed about identification method by properties. Means by using the properties, we have tried to identify the controls in the application, and we have created the modules, and we have seen that in the yesterday's class. So, what we will be discussing in today's class is basically now we already knew that by default TOSCA is using properties identification method. And as I also telling that 85 to 90% of the controls will be identified by properties itself. Then you can ask me a question, Mother, then why do we need the other identification methods? When come the situation comes, in order we need to identify the controls with the help of this other identification methods is what we are going to see now. So next thing, the next identification method after identify by properties is identify by anchor. So first of all, before going to show you how do I identify any control with the help of an anchor identification method, I'll try to tell you some definition part and what is this anchor. So can anyone tell me what is the normal basic meaning of the anchor? Normal English terminology. Can anyone tell me? What do you mean basically by an anchor? Or does anyone have seen? Okay, let me only tell you. Even no problem if no one knows that. So basically, when we okay, at the time of the ships, you might have seen, right? The ships will be placed at the seashore with the and the ship will be tied to an anchor. Correct. Anchor will be used as a support or a reference in order to tie the ship to the knot at the seashore so that the ship will not be, I mean, the ship or the boat, whatever it might be, you might call. So basically, the anchor, so we will be using there, right? So I'm just trying to take that reference here and I'm just trying to elaborate the definition of this identify by anchor. So first of all, we have discussed about anchor. Anchor means a support or a reference. Means by taking the support or by taking the reference of means then we need to understand why do we need to take the support? Why do we need to take the reference of another control? First of all, then what I will do is why do we need to come to the identification by anchor? If the identification of the if the identification of the controls are not unique with the properties, means you first of all what we need to do, we need to identify any control with properties, and once even after identifying the properties, ultimately what is our intention, the controls should become unique. But if the controls are not becoming unique, then we need to use anchor identification method. Understood? So first of all, when we try to create a module by identifying the controls, first of all, we need to see whether the properties which are there are the controls becoming unique with the properties which are available. But even though if we use the properties and if the controls are not becoming unique, then you can use the anchor identification method. So it is a next alternative to the properties identification method. If the properties are not working, then you can come to the anchor identification method. So then what is the definition of an anchor? I mean the basic meaning of anchor. I mean help or reference or support. So now whose help or whose support I'm going to take in order to identify a particular control. So basically identifying a control with the help or support or reference of another control. It is called as identification by anchor. Means when I'm trying to identify a control, and if the control is not becoming unique even after using the properties, then I will go to the anchor identification method, and in that anchor identification method I will take the help or a support or a reference of another control in order to identify this control uniquely. Correct, right? If I try to correlate with a simple example, so when I'm trying to learn something or trying to identify something, but if I was unable to understand, and if I was unable to find out whatever I'm trying, even after using all the resources, then what will I do? I will be taking help of some other people who has already done it or who might knew it. Then I will be taking the help of other people in order to complete this task. So it is the same way. If the control is not becoming unique by the properties and all the resources, whatever has been there, so I'll take the help of some other control, right? Now here you need to get basically one more doubt. Mother, how do I decide that I need to take the help of this control? I am just saying that if the control is not becoming unique, take the help of another control. Then it's a common doubt, right? Then whose control or whose support you will take? So you need to know that whose support you are going to take is also the main consideration point here, because you can't go and take the help of, see, for suppose if I do not understand a particular concept, if I do not understand in a particular configuration or whatever it might be, then I'll try to take the help of some person. Means when I'm trying to take the help of one person, I'll identify and understand whether that person is capable to help me or not. Correct, right? Only if the person is capable, or if the person has already experience on that, or if the person has already knowledge on that, then only I will be going to him and I will be taking the help from him. Correct? But I can't go to some other random person to take the help for the issue whatever I am facing. It is also the same kind of thing. So here identification of whose help to take is also the most important point. You can't go and take the support of whatever control that is there in the application. You need to take help of a control. So now which control you will take? So any control which is most, I can say, which is unique. First of all, whose control you are going to, I mean, whose support you are going to take, that control must be unique, first of all, and it should be stable. I mean, whatever the control that you are choosing, at least you should know that, okay, this control will not be changing at least for 3 4 months. So I can take the help of this. So at least my work will be completed till that time. After that, I can see the another help or whatever it might be. So the most important point in identifying a control from whose help you want to take, first of all, that particular control should be unique by its own, right? It should have its own properties, and that particular control should be unique. And after that, then it should be most stable enough. Then you can go and take the help of another control, right? So is the theory part clear? So I'll just give you a brief overview. I mean, high level, just in a 1 2 points. So when I'm trying to create a module and identifying the controls, I will be identifying by default with the properties. What are the properties? Like class name, ID, outer text. Even after using all these properties, if the controls are not becoming unique, as I told you, our main intention is to make them unique, because scripts will be stable. Otherwise, scripts will be failing. So if they are not becoming unique, then alternative method we need to make them as a unique by identification by anchor. In this identification by anchor, I will be taking the help or reference of another control. That another control from which you are taking the help must be unique and should be stable. Is the theory part clear for everyone?
So,
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So now what I'll be doing is I'll be going back to TOSCA and I will be showing you how do you do that with TOSCA. So I'm just opening my project. So I haven't opened yet. I'm just opening this, and by the meantime, I'll just open the application of demo web store. So let the application get open. Yeah, this is the application which you are going to use. And I think yes, my project is also been loading. Let it load. It's still taking some time. Yeah. Sometimes what happens is you might see this message, this is not at all a problem. You can just close this up, nothing happens. So now we are in the home. Now what I'll do is I'll just try to create a module. As we all know, I'm trying to create a module. And by how I'm creating a module? By scanning the application. So I'm just scanning the application. My application is already opened in the browser and I am opening my Excel scan window in order to scan the application. These are all the basics that you know which we are discussing from the last two classes. So now I'm just selecting the application and clicking on scan. After clicking on scan, now what I'll try to tell you is let it load all the structure and all the controls which are present in this page. Now, as I told you, whenever you are trying to identify or scan or a module, please try to arrange your scan window. Right? I'm just arranging my scan window to my convenient position on the screen so that I can select whatever the control I just want them on the screen. Now, what is the first thing that you want to do? While scanning a module, you will try to identify the controls. First of all, how do you identify the controls? I'm just clicking select on screen and one I want to identify the controls. Let us say I want to identify this books, right? This computers, electronics, apparels and shoes, digital downloads, jewelry, gift cards. So now my requirement is to identify all these controls. Now I have identified them, selected them on screen. After selecting them on screen, again you need to disable that. After disabling, I'm just expanding it for your proper visibility. Now see, so when you try to identify any control, as I told you by default, TOSCA uses the properties. And our ultimate intention is what? The controls should become unique. But can you see here, all the controls are not unique. Can you see? Seven items are not unique. Whatever the seven controls I have scanned and identified on the application, none of them is unique. Everything is non-unique and it is in orange color. So what is your intention here? First of all, you need to check what are the properties that are there. So what are the properties that books has used? See, does it have any class name? See, there is no class name. There is no ID. There is an inner text. See, TOSCA used by default inner text, but it is not becoming unique. I'll just select outer text also. It is not becoming unique. I'll use another property, visible inner text. It is not becoming unique. I'll just use H reference. See, that's what I'm telling you. Whenever you are trying to identify a control, and if the identification, I mean, if the control is not becoming unique with the properties identification, then you need to go for other alternative. Can you see here? I have used all the technical properties what I have, but it is not becoming unique. And let me see for computers as well. See, there is no class name, there is no ID. Even though if I have inner text and outer text, they are not becoming unique, right? So now you can ask me question why these are not unique. Basically, in the application, these books, computers, electronics are presented for a couple of times. Can you see the same books, computers, the same category is presented here in the bar, and again these controls are displayed. Now TOSCA is getting confused and saying that boss, there are actually multiple controls for each and every control what you have selected. So I'm not becoming unique. If I give a small example, Let us consider that in our class, in this session, if there is a person with name Charan, if there is another person also with the same name Charan, so how come will I identify the two persons? So I need to be very precise and particular enough in order to identify and call these two persons, right? If I call out only Charan, two people will be responding. Correct. So I will be in a confused state, and even all the people in the class will be in a confused state to which Charan I am talking to and to whom I am explaining this. Correct. So I need to be very particular. I need to be very specific enough in order when there are multiple things present. So if this is the case, that is why Tosca is saying I'm not becoming unique. Then what I told, your properties are gone, you are exhausted. So then what is the other alternative method? Go for identify by anchor. Can you see? That is what I told you in the initial class in the modules. Keep this identify by point aside for some time. I will explain you point by point. In this drop down, you can see after the properties, you can see properties is by default selected. You can see here three lines. Each and every property, whatever you have identified, they have the property selected, but it is not becoming unique. Then you select anchor, right? As soon as you have selected the anchor, can you see identify by anchor? Can anyone read this message on the screen? This one?
Drag a control on this panel to use it as an anchor for identifying by anchor, or click the selection on the screen button to select the anchor control on the screen.
Right. So now when you are into this identification method by anchor, so here you are going to take the help or a reference of another control. So in order to take the help or reference of another control, how do you do that? Basically is there are two methods of doing that. The first method of doing that, what they're saying is drag a control on this panel. So where is the panel exactly? See, this is the panel. Can you see here? Anchor control. This box is the panel. Means if you want to, for example, if you also identified any control here, right now these are seven controls, right? All these seven controls are present. Along with these seven, if you have another controls which are unique by its own, you can use them as a reference. You can use them as a reference here. Means you can drag them and drop it onto this panel, so they will be becoming unique. The second method is you can click the select on screen. Here you also have the select on screen again to select the anchor control on the screen itself. Means whose support you are going to take, you can just take their support from the screen itself. So what I'll do is I'll just minimize this. As I told you, whenever I want to select on screen, I'll arrange my X scan window for my convenient position so that I can scan them clearly. Can you see here select on screen? I'll just click select on screen. Same thing again. Now I clicked select on screen. Now whose help should I take? I already told you when you are taking the help or a support of another control, you need to understand that control should become unique on its own, and you should also think that it should be capable enough in giving the support. Means at least it should be stable, it should not be changing that frequently. So now, what is the control that is present here in this application, in this page, which is most common here is like, see, I'm just taking as an example. It is not mandatory that you need to consider the same things. You can consider any other things. So for example, what I will do is, can I take the help of this demo workshop sample application by tracing this? I can't take the help of this because what happens if the image gets changed after 1 month? If the application has been uplifted, new version has come, if they change the image and they change the font or the title and the text, all these things, my again my it will not be unique, right? It will not be stable. So again, all my test cases will fail. So probably you need to understand here when you're taking the help, you need to visualize which will be the most stable. So for example, what I'm trying to do is I want to take the help of this register because register is the most common and stable thing will be the application, right? Whatever the application URL might be, how the user interfaces changes or the images changes or the title changes, registration will be the common procedure. So what I'm trying to do in this example is I want to take the help of this register. So what I will do, I'll just click on this, right? What I have done, I have just clicked on this. Can you see? I have just selected register on the screen because I want to take the help from the register. I have taken, and as I told you, whenever you selected something on the screen, you need to come back and again disable this. Now, can you see what has happened? Do not confuse, nothing has happened. Now, can you see? Now your books has become white in color, saying that the selected item is unique. Means this has become unique. Can you see? Previously you have only the properties. Now you have got one more representation saying that, see, this control uses one or more controls for identification. Means this books has been identified uniquely by taking the help or support of anchor control. Means support reference control is register, and with what controls properties the register has been identified, you can see here inner text and tag. You can select whatever you want the class, right? This is as simple as such. Now it is very simple. I just took the help of register control in order to identify these books. I'll try to show you once again. One more example. Now I want to identify these computers, right? I'll go for identify by anchor. After going to identify by anchor for this computer, I'm just clicking select on screen. Now, what do I feel is I want to take the help of this, sorry, I want to take the help of this login control. I am planning to take the help of this login control. So I'm just selecting this login on the screen, and after selecting again coming back and I am disabling this select on screen. Now can you see what has happened again? This computers has also become unique with the anchor, means used one more identification control, and what is that? It is login, right? Now in the same way I'll try to do for electronics. For example, I'll just again go for anchor and I'll just select on screen. I'll go for shopping cart. I use that. It is like this. That's it. Your job is done. Can you see now? Now your books, computers and electronics has got identified uniquely with the help of another controls. You can see this representation, right? Now we have seen one method of identifying by anchor, means selecting on screen. But now what the second method I told you, you can see here. Drag a control on this panel to use it as an anchor. For example, let us consider that I'll just use select on screen. For example, I'll just select this register. I'm leaving as it is. Now can you see if register is already scanned, I'm just saying means I just go to identify by anchor for apparels and shoes. Now I want to identify these apparels and shoes as uniquely. So what I'll do, what they're saying, drag a control on this panel to use it as an anchor. Means I can just drag this register control. I am holding my mouse with the left click and I am just dragging my mouse onto this box, anchor control box. Can you see it clearly? I am just, can you see again? I'm doing it. I'm just holding my mouse from the register control and I'm just dropping it onto this anchor control box. So what I'm doing, I'm leaving my mouse now here. Now can you see what has happened? Even now your apparels and shoes is also becoming unique with the help of a control called register. The same thing, there is no difference between selecting it on a screen or if it is already there identified in your module itself, you can use that. So there are two methods. For suppose let us see this digital downloads. I want to make this digital downloads uniquely. Now what can I do? I can also take the help of these books. See, now books is unique, right? Books is already becoming unique. How the books has become unique? This books control has become unique with the help of register. At last, finally, it is unique. Now, in order to identify this digital downloads, I shall use this books. I am just dragging these books onto this anchor control. Now, see here, my digital downloads has become unique with the help of books. And how the books has become unique with the help of a register. Means you can also do the interlink also. It is not that straight away you need to take help of only one control. Means for digital downloads, I took the help of a books, and books has taken the help of a register. It is like that. Let us show you one more time. Jewelry is there. I want to identify the jewelry uniquely. So what I will do, I will take this help of computers. Computers has become unique with the help of this login. See here, this jewelry has become unique with the help of computers. And how the computers has become unique with the help of login. So like that, you can also use multiple things in order to identify your controls uniquely. At last, I want to make this gift cards control becoming unique. I'll take the help of this jewelry. Can you see now? Ultimately, what has happened at the end of the day, when you are trying to create a module, and if you are exhausted out with the properties, then what you need to do, you need to go for the another identification method called as an anchor identification method. This anchor identification method only works when the properties, whatever you have used, are not working and the controls are not becoming unique. Then you can take the help, support, or a reference of another control and you can identify them like this. Is it clear for everyone?
It's clear.
Yes, Madhavan.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Okay,
Sir.
now, yeah, what I'll do is I'll just click on this save. So once I click on this save, automatically I could see a module getting saved successfully. So my job is done and I'm closing this XScan window. And as soon as I close this XScan window, you can see here a new module will be created. Can you see new module? Again, can you see the name of the module is demo webshop, right? So what I told you, as soon as you create a module, please try to rename it for a best practices point of view. Identify by anchor. So for me, it becomes easy. Now, can you see when you try to rename and just give the proper naming convention? See, demo webshop, pipe symbol, register pipe. See, every module contains the same naming convention, so it becomes easy for you to remember and understand what exactly each and every module consists of. Now, this module, which we have identified books, computers, electronics, all these things, right? Now, let us see the properties of this module. See now, books, all the properties will be the same. See here, I have used H reference, I have used inner text, outer text, tag, visible inner text properties in order to identify and make this control unique. The sky blue in color, the parameters are the technical properties, whatever we have done. And my control has not become unique ultimately. So what I have done, I have used identify by anchor. Now, how do I identify that this control is identified by anchor means? Can you see a parameter property called relative ID? A relative ID. Can you open these three dots at the last? I am just copying it, Control A, Control C. I'm just opening a new notepad and I want to show you how it looks like. Can you see it is an XML? See, what exactly I'm trying to say you is when you are scanning a module, you came to know that these books and other controls are identified with the help of register login. Okay, you identified and closed it. After 6 months of time or after 1 year of time, if you want to see basically we being a humans, we can't remember each and everything. If you want to identify whether this control is identified with the properties or with an anchor, how you can you decide is whenever you see any control or any attribute with a property called relative ID, again I'm repeating, whenever you see any attribute in a module having a property called relative ID, then you can decide that this particular control is identified with the help of anchor identification method. So what is this present in these three dots at the last? I just copied and trying to open it in the notepad. Now you can also see whose help it has taken. Means, see here, it has taken the help of, you can see here, it has taken the help of the register control. See, key value pair, you have used inner text, you have used class name, you have used outer text, you have used tag. Means you have taken the help of a register control. Can you see here the register control? You have taken the help of a register control in order to identify these books. So it is given in the form of an XML format. So by verifying this XML also, see after 6 months, when you open this XML and see, okay, then you will be able to identify, okay, this books has been identified with the help of this register. Now can you see this apparels and shoes? Let me show you how these apparels and shoes has become unique. As I told you, the relative ID is there. What is the relative ID here? I'll just copy the entire thing and I'll try to paste it here in the notepad. Now can you see again you have taken the help of register, right? Again I'll see one more control. I'll see for jewelry. For jewelry, what is the relative ID? Copying it completely and now can you see for jewelry I have taken the help of computers, right? What are the and how the computers has become uniquely? This computers has identified with the inner text, outer text, tag, and all these things. See, can you see there is something actually? Can you see this content? Previously, when you identified a particular control directly, you were not seeing this directly, you were seeing only that. But see, you identified a register is unique on its own, so this content is not there. But when you try to see for jewelry, which is identified from computers, and how computers has become unique, it is not become unique defaultly, right? With the help of some other thing. So this some other text is also being displayed, right? So by this kind of format, basically you can confirm and decide that these controls or an attributes which are having a property called relative ID, you can decide that these controls or attributes are identified with the help of anchor identification method. And this is how it looks like. Now, what I'll do is I'll just save this and I'll go back to the notepad. I'm just closing this off. I'm just going back to the definition. Now what we have done? Identifying a control. So what is the control? Identifying a control. Books means identifying a control books with the help or a support or a reference of another control. What is the another control that I have taken the help of? Register. Correct? Then it is called as an identification by anchor. Can you see this? Now identifying a books with the help or a support or reference of another control register is called as an identification method by anchor. So is it understood for everyone? Clear?
Yes, clear.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. What about others?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no, clear now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Clear.
Yeah. Any doubts in this? Any doubts in these two identification methods? Uh, the most important point everyone needs to remember is whenever we are trying to create a module and identifying the controls, this identify by properties and identify by anchor. Almost 95% of your identification of controls will be solved with these two identification methods. All right, the rest identify by index and identify by image are very less priority and least probability will be there. That is why even in the hierarchy they will be present at the last. Sometimes in the interview they will ask you what are the best practices, what is the hierarchy of identification methods. You should not say identify by index at the top. If you say your answer is identify by index at the top, then they will cross question you. So first of all, will you identify with index? What is the hierarchy? What is the best practice? So you should never answer like that. See, you might learn, you might be confident and confirm with the topics, but the way we present ourselves in the interview is also going to play a crucial role and main factor here. Now, so start preparing from that point of view, like how you can present yourselves in the interview. So when you give an answer, a cross question should not become basically. right? When you try to present something in front of an interviewer, a cross question should not come. Like if I ask you, for suppose, let me say that I am taking an interview and I will ask you, what are the identification methods? You will say you know the concept, but the way of presentation you will say in some other order: identify by index, identify by properties, anchor, image. Then I will ask you, what is the order that you follow basically? What is the best practices that you follow? Means, can you see here, the cross question has come because of the answer we have given. But if you answer in such a way that, try to explain him with an example. So what are the identification methods? You say that first I'll use identify by anchor. Sorry, identify by properties. In the properties, I'll use class name, inner text, outer text, tag, title. And if the properties are not working, then I will go to anchor. In the anchor, I will take the help of another control, right? Then third, I'll come to the index. Then fourth, I'll go to the image. So with these different identification methods, I'll try to identify and create a modules in my TOSCA. Now see, will any question will come back to you. You have given him, you have given him four identification methods. Along with the four identification methods, you have also given him the hierarchy line by line, and you have also told him that in the properties what you use, and in the anchor what do you do. You are telling, you have not told any much time, right? You just took only 40-45 seconds of time, but there will not be any cross question from other side. So he will be satisfied, okay, these guys know something, so he's trying to give a proper explanation. So start preparing from that point of view, right? That would be helpful when you complete the sessions and start preparing for your interview. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm
yes,
just
sir.
stopping here for now.